So while you're here in Dumaguete, of course you're going to be curious about the town of Valencia, where everybody says, oh, you go up the hill, it's a little bit cooler, it's a little bit quieter. It's not that far up in altitude to describe it as much cooler. It's a degree or two Celsius cooler than down here in Dumaguete, but a lot quieter. Your best day to do it is going to be a Sunday because they've got the market going on up there. What if you don't want to rent a motorbike for safety reasons, price reasons, and Grab, when you try to get a trike ride up there, it might tell you there's no service going up there. You can arrange to privately take a trike. First cost they're probably going to throw out at you is 300 pesos, or I think you already know where I'm going with this. This bus, Jeepney, at this station right here, and that'll run you 20 pesos. It's a 20-minute ride, so it's too long to walk for sure. Let's go take a look. Now the Jeepney won't leave until it's completely full. I am the last human to climb on board, and I'm half hanging out the back of this thing, but it doesn't go too fast, and it's all part of the adventure, right? So this leg of your journey comes to a conclusion on the downhill side of the Valencia public market. Everybody climbs off, you pay once you get off. Then there's a whole crew of these trike drivers hanging out around here that are prepared to take all the locals, everybody else, to their next node of travel out into the neighborhoods. Whoa! In the central plaza. This just has a small town feel, so reminiscent of the States. We've got a tennis court that's used kind of like a pickleball court sometimes. The fountain, the gazebo. You know, and Sunday is sort of like peak hospitality day for anybody in this quaint little hamlet of Valencia. So that's a great time to visit because at its peak, you're gonna know after a few hours, a day of walking around, whether this is your jam or not. So today was the market, and it's in the morning half. It's officially closed by noon even, but there are still a whole bunch of vendors selling the produce, the fresh fruit, the vegetables. So there's a whole line of them at this lower end of the plaza. Lots of good stuff. We got bananas. Well, we got everything. See, take a look. But they're chilling. They already put the hardest part of their day in. Now I'm just the leftovers. You would almost think that you have 1 foot in and one foot in America and 1 foot in the Philippines, the way this place feels, Valencia. So it makes complete sense to me why some of the older retirement crowd that are like, no, I'm staying permanently in the Philippines. I understand why they're picking this. It feels just familiar enough, but you get all the benefits of the Philippines. So they also, at this market, you got your, you know, the shoes, the clothes, the trinkets, the bags, the painitan, the little carinderia, all on the line, up and down. So come spend the day. You do have some decisions to make because that intersection I just showed you, this is where you're gonna climb on your Jeepney to head back down to Dumaguete. The last one rolls at about 5 o'clock, so that's before it's even dark outside. It'll be another 20 pesos to get you back down the hill. So if you're wanting to stay and see what it's like in the evening, the nightlife, because there are a few places where you will see people starting to gather and do some recreation. If you're wanting to head up into the mountains, up towards the waterfalls, the volcano, right when you get off the Jeepneys, there are trike drivers, motorbike riders that are offering to take you up there. The first price they're throwing out is 200 pesos one way, 200 pesos back for an individual rider like myself. So weigh that with how much time you have and what you're wanting to do, so that if you go up into those hills and get back here after 5 o'clock, you're now needing to negotiate your way back down the hill. The jeepneys are going to be gone for the day. So just things to consider. Adding up those numbers, if you're really going up the mountain, you may want to think about getting a motorbike. And the weekend is your best bet for doing it because the traffic is so much lighter around all of the streets. So there you go. So I think my thesis statement is that you don't really have to pick one or the other, that you can go for the smaller, quieter and change it up in the bigger town, bigger city, or stay in the bigger city and use this because there's just rich visual textures up here that are quite different from Dumaguete down below. But it almost reminds me of how in the States, you work busy work during the week, and then on the weekend, you find your way on your day off out into the countryside for just to slow the pace a little bit, a more simple life thing to go, you know, eat pie and shop at the farmers markets. That's kind of the feel that this has. I'm on the fence about which one I would like better. It might be a little too slow and quiet for me, but they, other than supermarkets, they pretty much have everything you would want. So down below the market, on this main road traveling through town, they got a similar thing happening where it's a series of modified storage containers turned into ice cream shops, cafes, and I have had an espresso here that was delicious, by the way. But in the international cafes right now, it's pretty full of Westerners. I don't know why. I just don't, I always look for where the locals are at. So I found a little bit of a carinderia, get a fix. So let's have some food. This is the one I found, and we're gonna have some brunch. These lovely ladies talked me into trying a few different things. So we've got a few options here. This is it's like a beef patty of some sort. I really don't know, but we're gonna try it. Eggs mixed with hot dogs. Hey man, we're on an adventure today. This is what's called Bicol Express. It's pork, and it will always look different and taste just a little bit different. Sometimes spicy, sometimes a little sweet. But the thing that makes this unique, Bicol Express, is it's done in a coconut base. So it has a quite different flavor than a lot of the other dishes you're gonna have. And of course, don't ever forget your rice. Let's dig in. Sometimes some of the pork stuff, like lechon, it's too rich, fatty. I can only do it every now and then, but this is something that could be a much more frequent staple. It has a light, almost milky color, texture, taste. Oh, that's good. And if you have, you know, a sensitive stomach or whatever, don't worry, there are restrooms. The Bicol Express is landing on my list of dishes that you can do quite regularly and it's not too overpowering, overwhelming. Eggs and hot dogs. That is exactly what that is. Eggs and hot dogs. Oh, this is a struggle. Let's see. That beef is pretty intense. Wash it all down with some plain rice. Here's the view I get to eat my lunch with. We got some bagged up peanuts, cashew, some bud, fresh cut vegetables, fresh off the farm. What a lovely way to spend an afternoon, huh? It is a Sunday, of course. All the families are out. Kids playing on the playground. I keep thinking it's the kind of place where Americans, in our vernacular, we would say immediately, oh, what a great place to raise a family. It's kind of the reaction I just keep having here is, it's so familiar, yet so foreign. And there are so many foreigners that have chosen this place. A lot of times in places like this, these little visual details jump out at you right in the beginning and you take note of them. But it's only over time that they kind of re-emerge in your mind as thematic to what the character is like. So in the background, this is the perimeter of the main plaza, the town square. I don't think I have ever in my life anywhere seen a place with this much plant life decorating the common space. And there are all these people out watering and tending to it. Like, it's beautiful, it's incredible. As I've been sitting down for coffee and snacks in different places and people chatted up with me, oh, what do you think? And this word just keeps occurring over and over again, the word peaceful. And that's such a great defining word. So if you are from the United States, for example, and you just had it with that life, this might be a really good choice to come feel it out. Explore it, see if it's right for you. Okay, so there's an important talking point here. These jeepneys that are heading to a destination, they congregate in singular areas. It's jeepney stops. You have to go find, based on your destination point, where that is leaving from in Dumaguete. So check this out. You can have cargo and they'll help you get it to where you're going. People come to the city, do their shopping. Oh, I don't want to help you out. Is it okay? It's okay? Okay. So one way of doing this is go onto Google Maps and type in Dumaguete-San Jose in this case. And you can get all over Negros Oriental that way. You just kind of have to be paying attention when you're going about town to where the stop is. Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? I think you are. What if we want to go to Dauin, but I don't want to make the commitment of reserving a resort here in Dumaguete, and I want to go down and see what it's all about? Well, just to put you in place on the map for how that adventure is going to start, we're here at the fruit market, which just happens to be right next to the Central Market and the Painitan. From here, which I recommend stopping by, you're gonna come outside and just down the road, it shares a street corner with the bell tower of the cathedral. I don't know, can you see it back there? They're renovating it right now. And you're gonna climb in one of these jeepneys. Dumaguete to Dauin. That's how you're gonna get there. About a 30-minute ride it'll take you. But that saves you from having to get a motorbike or pay a bunch of money for a trike driver. So let's climb on in, head down south, head down the beach. A little over 30 minutes later, 25 pesos is what that ride cost us to get to the far end of Dauin. This is the stop when you're ready to go back to Dumaguete. So right, there's a little bench and a motorbike, that's where you're gonna get on. Last one rolls at 5 o'clock in the evening, so don't miss it or your life is gonna get very complicated. So that's it, your landmark is the Crispy King here, and we're at the edge of the town. Let's go, let's go. Now once you get off of the main highway, the streets of Dauin look a little bit like this. Pretty quiet, pretty peaceful. The odd rooster, you'll hear that happening. So I just stopped into the Funny Honey because it's not a resort. It's its own standalone PADI dive center. Here's the deal. They have the swimming pool for you to do your dive training if you want to. That course would take you 4 days, 26,800 pesos. That of course can change at any time, but they've got all of the things A dive, a standard single dive, will cost you 2,050 pesos right now in January 2026, which, by the way, they do have a promo until the end of this month. Buy two, get one free. Check this out though. Look at all these dive sites around the area. So we're here in Dauin, Dumaguete is up there. All these dive sites, coast dive sites. But the highlight that everybody really likes to do apparently is the Apo Island dives. If you were going to do that, the price is still the same, but you have to pay an additional 350 pesos for like the environmental incursion fee, preservation, stuff like that. But you want to call these people or any of these dive carriers ahead of time because it just takes more time to coordinate. It's more complicated if you're like very, very small groups or individuals. So yeah, there we go. Hey, so that's an idea of how much it's going to cost you to scuba dive out down here in Dauin. So I just learned if you're going to do a refresher course, meaning you are certified but have not done a dive in a long, long time, like me, that's going to cost you 4,000 pesos, at least a half a day in that tank right there, depending on your skill, comfort, competency level, etc. But that will include with that cost an open water dive, an actual scuba dive out there in the water. Now, everybody is required to have like a dive watch, a dive computer. If you do not have your own, renting that is 500 pesos a day. So there you go. What are your questions? If you have questions, call these fine folks up who let me tour around, gave me a bunch of answers. So thank you. So everything about Dauin it's dive centric. It's pretty focused on scuba diving. You can access the beach from any one of the streets that go out, but one of the main entry points is where the Bongo Bongo Diver School is. You can see Apo Island off in the distance where people like to go diving quite a bit. But they have little buoy roped off areas for swimming. The sand in the beach, it's a darker sand, like a brown sand. A fine place to hang out for a day or an evening. It's pretty quiet in town, and for most of the beachfront, it's really these dive resorts that go for several buildings back from most of the beachfront. So that's what it's like here in Dauin. I mean, they're wrapping up some diving, getting all the tanks out. All the wet people in their wetsuits were just walking away. So that's it. It's super chill down here. So if chill is what you're looking for, I think I might have just helped you find it. So we're at the north side of the central market in Dumaguete city center proper. And this is the jeepney stop that will take you to Sibulan, which is the northern portion of Dumaguete on the map, north of the airport, right? Now let me tell you a story to kind of close the loop on some timeline discussions. I had said 5 o'clock was the cutoff, or 5:30, something like that, when you're going to Dauin. And the second, third times I went there, I'd heard different things, like, no, last one's at 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. So the last time I was there, I decided to stay past sunset, which is about 6 o'clock in the evening, to have dinner, kind of watch it go dark on the beach. And by that time I got to that, I walked all the way back to that outer edge of town where the jeepney pickup is, and it's like the street lights are all out, totally dark, ghost town. A guy in one of these lottery stands, he says, no, there's no more jeepneys going. So I walk my way back to where the central market is in Dauin, hoping that they are still active there because the lights are still on. They're still selling fruits and vegetables. There's food on the grills out in the street. Well, I got some bad news for you. I stood there hoping until about 8 o'clock at night, at which point a Ceres bus came flying down the highway, and you'll recognize it from all the other vehicles because they have these bright red LED lights on the front window, you know, that says Dumaguete. So it's like, oh God, I flagged that thing down. And for 30 pesos, it got me back to city center Dumaguete. So it saved the evening, kept me from certain disaster. I'm sitting there thinking like, oh my God, I'm gonna be walking for 4 hours because the Grab app does not work out in Dauin or up in Valencia. So you'd be stuck trying to talk a trike driver or somebody into driving you there and then heading back. So, and that would be very expensive. Let's just say. So if worse comes to worse and you're spending the evening out there, those buses are moving well into the evening. Flag one of them down, have them get you back to Dumaguete for the night, or the reverse of that. So hopefully I've given you some other creative ways of slicing this up and chopping the wood up on this one. We'll see you in the next storyline.